Again, problem number 10, it says, state if there appears to be a positive correlation, negative correlation. When there is no correlation, identify relationship as linear, logarithmic, exponential, or quadratic. So just remember, a correlation happens when, if you were to draw a line of best fit, it would form a shape, or when there is a pattern to the points. This doesn't happen, so there's no correlation on this problem right here. A positive correlation happens when the slope or pattern goes up from left to right. A negative correlation happens when the shape or pattern goes down as you go from left to right. So you're going to notice that on this problem right here as you look at it. So if we look at our review right here, you're going to notice that as you scroll on down to this problem right here. So as you look at number 10, you're going to see there is no shape that it forms. In other words, there's no correlation that I can draw between all those. There's just random dots everywhere. So if that's the case, there's just random dots everywhere, there's going to be no correlation. So we're going to look at this next problem. On number 11. Number 11, it says, I've got y equals 2x plus 3. I've also got the equation y equals negative x minus 3. And it says it wants me to go ahead and solve each system by graphing. So when I do that, I'm going to graph each equation and find the point of intersection. That point is the solution. So I'm going to take my first equation right here, y equals 2x plus 3. Remind myself that this is the slope. This is my y-intercept. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my y-intercept, which is going to be at 3 right here. Then I'm going to move up 3, and remember this is over 1, so I'm going to move up 3, or sorry, up 2 and over 1. So let's take a look at our slope again. Sorry about that. So remember your slope right here is 2 over 1. So I'm going to go up 2 and over 1, put my dot right there. And then I'm done. I'm just going to go ahead and connect that graph. And then as I look at this next problem right here, it says that I have y equals negative x minus 3. So remember once again, that this case right here, and I just rewrote the graph equation right over here, but this right here, this is your y-intercept. And remember your slope, that number right there is going to be negative 1 all over 1. So notice right here, I go ahead and go to my y-intercept, which is going to be at 3. I put my dot there. And then I'm going to go down 1 over 1, put another dot there. And then I go ahead and draw in that graph right there. So now that I've done that, I just have to locate their point of intersection. The point of intersection is going to be right here, and right there that answer is going to be at negative 2, negative 1. And so that's going to be your solution on number 11. So number 12, it says it wants me to go ahead and solve this solution. And it says it wants me to do this by substitution. Well, the rules for substitution is the following. Step number 1, you're going to solve an equation for a variable. So that's the very first thing I do. So I'm going to solve this equation for a variable right here. So notice, when I solve this, I move that 8x over the other side by adding 8x. When I do that, I get the equation y all equals 8x minus 12. The next thing I'm going to do, step number 2, it says substitute this equation into the other equation and solve for the variable. So notice here I've now got y is equal to 8x minus 12. I can go ahead and substitute this in to this other equation right there. So when I do that, I still have my 3x. I still have my minus 6. But y is now 8x minus 12, and that still all equals negative 18. Once I've done all that, now all I have to do is just go ahead and solve this equation for x. So notice, now I'm solving for the variable. So I'm going to go ahead and distribute my negative 6 on through. So when I substitute that on through, I get negative 48x. And this is going to be a positive 72. I combine my like terms. So I got 3x minus 48x is going to be negative 45x. I still have my plus 72, and that's all going to equal negative 18. Okay, now that I've gone ahead and done that, continue solving for it. I'm going to subtract 72 from both sides. And when I do that, I'm going to end up with this equation of negative 45x all equals negative 90. I divide both sides by negative 45, and then I take negative 90, divide by negative 45, and the answer is going to be 2. So now I have the solution to my x variable, which is going to be 2. Now to find the solution to my y variable, I'm just going to do this last step. It says substitute the variable into an equation and solve. Well, I notice that this equation right here, I'm going to use that to solve for my y variable. So I'm going to take x equals 2, I'm going to substitute in place of x. And so then I'm going to take 8 times 2 is going to be 16, and 16 minus 12 is going to be 4. So therefore my solution to this system is going to be 2 and 4. Okay, on this next problem right here on number 13, you're going to notice now it says I want to go ahead and solve this system by elimination. Or do elimination, that means I need to multiply one or both of the equations by a constant or number, so that when the equations are added together, a variable is eliminated. So as I analyze this right here, I notice that I can eliminate my y value if I just go ahead and multiply this second equation by 4, because positive 4 and negative 4 give me 0. So that's what I'm going to do. So I write down my first equation. I'm going to multiply the second equation by 4. So when I do that, you're going to notice that when I shift this 4 on through, I get 24x. Then I'm going to get minus 4y. And then 26 times 4 is going to be 104. So now that I've added that to it, I like to draw a line between them so I remember that I'm not going to use that equation I just multiplied by. So I like to kind of draw that little line there so that when I add it together, I don't accidentally add that equation to it. So I'm going to take 5x and 24x, I'm going to get 29x. I'm going to take 4y and negative 4y, and that's going to be 0. The y's are now gone. I'm going to take negative 17 and 104, and negative 17 and 104 is going to be 87. Now to solve for your x variable, you're just going to divide both sides by 29. So I take 29 divided by 29, get rid of that 29, you're going to take 87 divided by 29. So that answer is going to be x all equals 3. So now I have the x value of my variable, which is going to be 3. So I just go back to my rules here. And notice I just did that second step right there. It says add the resultant equations together and solve for the variable. So now that I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and substitute the variable solution into an equation and solve. So I'm just going to go ahead and choose this equation right here. So you're going to notice this equation right here. It says is 5x plus 4y equals negative 17. So you rewrite that down here. And I'm going to substitute in my value of my variable and go ahead and find that answer. So I just found out that x was equal to 3. So I'm going to go ahead and substitute that into the x value there. So I got 5 times 3. And I still have my plus 4y all equals negative 17. Well, 5 times 3 is 15, plus 4y equals negative 17. I'm going to subtract 15 from both sides. And when I take negative 17, negative 15, I get 4y all equals negative 32. I divide both sides by 4, and I take negative 32 divided by 4, and I get y equals negative 8. So the solution to this system is just that ordered pair of 3 and negative 8. Okay, this next problem right here. It says it wants to go ahead and solve this equation, and it says that this is a story problem. And so basically, what you want to do to solve the equations in a story problem, you're going to write 2 equations representing the given information. So notice this right here. It says write 2 equations representing the given information. Solve the equations using either the addition method or the substitution method. So I like to label mine. I'm going to label my senior citizen ticket X. My student tickets, I'm going to go ahead and label that as Y. And now I'm going to write an equation of that first sentence. It says, the school that John goes to is selling tickets to Fall Musical. On the first day of ticket sales, the school sold 4 senior citizen tickets, and 1 senior citizen ticket for a total of $39. The school took in $168 on the second day by selling 8 senior citizen tickets and 8 student tickets. By the price of senior citizen ticket and the price of student ticket. So notice that second sentence right there. If you read it carefully, it says they sold 4 senior citizen tickets. So here's X, so that's going to be 4X. And it says that they sold 1 student ticket, so that's going to be 1Y. And then it says that they got a total of $39 for it. So that's my first equation, written from the first sentence. Now my second equation, written from the second sentence right here, it says, as you read it, the school took in $168 on the second day, so $168. And it says to do this, it says they sold 8 senior citizen tickets. So here's the X that represents that. That's 8X. And it says that they also sold 8 student tickets. So there's your Y. So that's 8Y all equals 168. Now to solve this, you can use either the substitution method or the addition method. I chose the substitution method because I went ahead and noticed that this one already has a Y that I can easily solve for. So I'm going to move this over here by subtracting 4X. And when I do that, I get Y all equals 39 minus 4X. I'm going to go ahead and substitute that into the second equation and solve for it. So since that equals 39 minus 4X, I can replace it right there. So I still have my 8X. I've got 8, and I substitute in 39 minus 4X is all going to equal 168. So I substitute in place of Y, what the equation was that represented Y. So now I'm just going to go ahead and distribute this on through. So 8, I'm going to take times 39, I get 312. 8 times negative 4 is going to be negative 32. That all still equals 168. So continuing my solving, I'm going to go ahead and combine my like terms. So combining my like terms, I've got 8X, got a negative 32X, and 8 minus 32 is going to be negative 24. And so now I end up with this equation, negative 24X plus 312 all equals 168. Now to solve for X, I need to go ahead and move this 132 over to this other side. So that means I'm going to subtract 312 because I need to move that 312 over to the other side. So I subtract 312 from both sides. And when I take 168 minus 312, I get negative 144. So now I got negative 24X all equals negative 144. And now I'm just going to divide both sides by negative 24. So I'll take negative 24X divided by negative 24. That's going to give me my X by itself. And I take negative 144 divided by negative 24. That's going to be 6. So you're going to notice that I already labeled this as X was equal to my senior citizen tickets. So now I know that the number of senior citizen tickets that they sold is going to be a total of 6. And so my senior citizen's ticket is going to be a total of $6. So that would be the price of my senior citizen ticket. So now to find my Y value, I'm just going to go ahead and substitute in my X value into the equation. And so I notice I've already got this Y equation right here that I wrote down. Let's already solved for Y, so I'm going to use it. So I got Y equals 39 minus 4X. I'm going to go ahead and substitute in the value that I just found for X. So I found out that X is equal to 6. I'm going to substitute in 6 in place of this X right here and solve that. So I take 4 times 6 is going to be 24. And then I take 39 minus 24. 39 minus 24 is going to be 15. So now my student ticket costs $15. So senior citizen ticket, $6. Student ticket, $15. Okay, now on this next problem right here, on number 15, they give me X plus 2Y is less than or equal to 2. And I just need to remind myself that I'm going to graph a linear inequality just like a linear equality. And then, so that's why I go ahead and rewrite this. It's the same thing as graphing X plus 2Y equals 2. So I'm going to go ahead and remind myself that the x-intercept make Y equal to 0, solve for X. So that's why I put a 0 there. So in my equation, I'm just going to go ahead and put in a 0. And so I'm going to end up with X plus 2 times 0 equals 2. So 2 times 0 is 0, so that means that X is going to equal 2. So there's my x-intercept at 2. And then to find my y-intercept, I make X equal to 0, and I'm going to solve for Y. So I put 0 in place of this equation here, so I get 0 plus 2y all equals 2. So then I get 2y equals 2 when I add 0 to that. When I divide by 2 and I get y equals 1. And so there's my y-intercept at 0, 1. Here's my x-intercept at 2 and 0. So now to graph this, I'm just going to go to those 2 points right there. I'm going to go to 2 and 0. So here I'm at 1, 2. There's 2 and 0. My 0, 1. Go ahead and put a dot there. I need to follow these next rules. So remember, these next rules just state that, first off, if I have less than or greater than or equal to, so I have less than or equal to or greater than or equal to, I draw a solid line. If I have less than or greater than, I'm going to go ahead and draw a dotted line. So I notice in my equation, I've got less than or equal to. That means that I'm going to be drawing a solid line. So as you look at my graph, that's what I've done. I've went ahead and drawn my solid line right here. So here's my solid line going right through here. Okay, now the last thing that I have to do with an inequality is I've got to test a point to decide or to see where to shade it at. So to test a point, I'm going to see where to shade it at. So if it's a true statement that I get when I test that point, I'm going to shade the plane that contains the point. If it's a fault statement, I'm going to shade the plane that doesn't contain the point. So notice that. I go ahead and substitute in this point right here, 0, 0. I'm going to test it. So I'm going to take my original equations, this is x plus 2y is going to be less than or equal to 2. I'm going to substitute in 0, 0. I'm testing that point that's in that plane. I substitute that in. So I got 0 plus 2 times 0 is less than or equal to 2. And then I get the statement 0 is less than or equal to 2. Well, that's a true statement. So that means I'm going to shade where the plane contains a point at. So you're going to notice the point that it contains that is this right here. And so then I just shade that in. And that represents all the solutions to that system. Okay, now this next one, 16, same thing. So just following the rules from 15. So I'm going to take this right here. I've got x plus 3y. It's going to be greater than or equal to negative 6. So remember, if you want to find the x-intercept, that means that y equals 0. If you want, you can just cover that up with your hand like this. And then you end up with, or you can substitute in, you get x equals negative 6. Because whenever you substitute 0 into anything, you're just going to get 0 for an answer. So if you just want to cover it up, that's fine, because 3 times 0 is 0, so you get x equals negative 6. Same thing for my y-intercept. Got x equal to 0, so I'm going to substitute in 0 right here. If you want, you can scribble it out, because it just goes away. And then you got 3y all equals negative 6. Divide both sides by 3, and you get y equals negative 2. Now you got your x-intercept, negative 6 and 0. Your y-intercept is 0, negative 2. I'm just going to go ahead and go down here, plot those points. So when you're plotting those points right here, notice I'm going to go to negative 6 and 0. So that's this point right here. I'm going to go to 0, negative 2. That's this point right here. Notice that it is greater than or equal to, my equation is, so that means that I'm going to draw a solid line. So that's what I do. I just went ahead and drew a solid line in here, connecting my 2 points. I'm going to go ahead and test the point 0, 0. So to test that point 0, 0, I'm going to substitute that in and see if that makes a true or false statement. So below here, got it tested right here. So substitute in 0, 0. So those are the points. Substitute that into the equation. I get 0 plus 3 times 0 is greater than or equal to negative 6. So 0 is greater than or equal to negative 6. That's true. I'm going to shade the point where 0, 0 is, or the place where point 0, 0 is. I'll just come up here. I'm going to shade in that entire area, and that's going to be my solution to that inequality. Okay, now number 17. Number 17. I got y equals 2x squared minus 12x plus 15. So I'm going to put that in my calculator and copy the graph. If you need help with the calculator, just go ahead and watch this video. So I take my calculator and come over here, turn it on, clear out anything that's in there. And then I'm just going to go to my graph, which is that y equals. So click on y equals, clear that out. I'm just going to type this in. So I got 2x squared minus 12x and then plus 15. Once I'm done doing that, I'm just going to hit my graph key right here. And that's what my graph is going to look like. So notice that this point right here, 3 and negative 3. That's the low point of the graph. So I just go 3, negative 3, put my dot there. And I'm just going to go ahead and draw in my graph. It looks like that. So that's a parabola that is opening up. Okay, on this last one, I got y equals 2 to the x. So I'm going to hit my y equals key right here. Go ahead and clear that off. And then I'm just going to type in 2. I'm going to hit my power key, type in x, and hit my graph key. And you're going to notice that even though it looks like it becomes part of the x-axis, we know that it doesn't. So I'm going to put my point here at 0, 1. That's the main point on the graph. And then just draw it going this way. Don't have it become the x-axis. Just draw a little arrow there because it keeps going on forever. And then draw that going up like that. So even though it looks like it comes to an end, it doesn't. It keeps going on forever. And that is your Chapter 7 review.